Hey, gun people. I've been getting a few emails on comments on Cosby and kind of difference of opinions here. So let's in the comments, if you make a comment, put a thumbs up if you think it's good he got released, or a thumbs down if you think it's bad he got released. I kind of would like to see what the opinion is on the people commenting, whether they think it's good that he got released. If I was making a comment, I would put a thumbs up. I think it's good he got released. Now, evidently some talk show host in Dallas made a comment that he thinks it was good that he was released, but he hates pedophiles and he hates sexual predators. I'm not sure I would classify, they've redefined sexual predator now that, if a kid in high school, who's a senior kisses a freaking, a junior, suddenly he's a sexual predator. So sexual predator is kind of like a male thing. We don't hear much about women sexual predators. It's only a male thing that they can attack men on. But and I got no problem if you earn it. But to me, a sexual predator is somebody going after children or raping women, going out there doing real rape, not this, I love you, can you help me? I'm going to come to your house and have dinner for months, and then I'm going to say I was uncomfortable when you touched me. Whatever. So this woman who put him in prison was really a horrible witness. So let's talk about why I think this is good and why some people don't. I always wonder when I see him walking. I mean, he's 83 years old. And he's always got his hand on somebody. And I don't know who this woman is with all the tattoos. Rick, why don't you like tattoos? I'm just saying, she's got a lot of tattoos and she's holding his hand. So anyway, and this guy's leading him around. I didn't know why, but in one of the articles I read, evidently he went blind from glaucoma 6 years ago. So he's been in prison for 2 years. He got 3 to 10 or 3 to 12, which means they probably were going to let him out at 3 anyway. He did 2 years, and then the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his conviction, which I agree. I don't think he should have been convicted. And I think when it gets overturned, they ought to file charges on the DA that violated the laws that put a guy in prison. Because this DA, just like the DA that has filed suit, this is a DA using government money, filed suit against Trump 70 times. And she's now trying to convict his family or his business of tax. And she ran on a platform saying my whole job while I'm in office, if I'm elected, will be to go get Trump. That's what she ran on, and she's using taxpayer money on a personal vendetta because of politics. It's freaking outrageous. Government already has too much power when they can wield it against their so-called enemies, and whoever's in there, they can make no different than the kings that used to rule over the people. If you were an enemy, he could do whatever he wanted. Have you beheaded, kill, send out his troops to kill you. He was the law of the land. Now we have freaking DAs doing that shit, and it's bullshit. But I digress. This DA that sent him to prison, I think should be in prison. So one of my viewers sent me this PDF, which I really appreciate when I have good information so I can kind of read and go through it. It's a pretty large document. It's 79 pages, and I have not read it all. I may have got like to page, 40 or 50. After reading years and years of police reports and statements and reviewing evidence and getting ready to testify and responding to scenes and writing thousands of pages of reports and search warrants and, just you read and write a lot as a cop if you're really doing police work. If you're just writing tickets, then you just got to know what boxes to check and go out there and write tickets like a little freaking punk you are. But I digress. Anyway, and no, a traffic cop didn't sleep with my wife. Everybody's got to come up with an excuse. So let's go with why I think it's good that he didn't get, he got let out. So what happened is the DA in this case, and I'll put a link to this. So the DA in this case thought the case was weak against Cosby. And when the DA office files charges against somebody, one of the things that they're supposed to consider so they don't waste the taxpayer money and so they don't drag a citizen through a trial unless we think we can convict him. And the rules to convict him are hard, and they're supposed to be hard, and you have to convince 12 people, and you have to get unanimous decision, because the founders didn't want it easy for government to harass citizens and to become tyrannical. So all the people crying about, oh, it's not fair, and he was a bad guy, he should go to jail for it, whatever. I mean, this freaking woman that did this, I mean, if you read this in here, she went to his house several times, months after the event that supposedly he grabbed her and groped her. He gave her pills, which he said was Benadryl, which Benadryl comes in these little blue or pink pills. So it could have been Benadryl, could have not. But he gave it to this woman. The woman took them voluntarily. Took the pills. Didn't even ask what they were. She testified. He gave me some pills and I took them. Really? And now you cry that I was sleepy and I kind of remember him touching me and I didn't want him to. But I didn't say anything then, and I didn't call the police, and I didn't report it until months or years later when I felt bad about it. And then I sued him, and I won $3.3 million that he had to pay me. I sued him, and he paid me, but that wasn't enough. I want to put him in prison because I'm mad at him, and I'm a woman, and I have a right to my feelings, and it's my body and whatever. So everybody wants to, and I'm not saying Cosby was a great guy. I don't know what he did or he didn't. Nobody really knows. But from the testimony and the reports, it looks like he got railroaded. So here's what happened. If you want to read this whole thing, you can go figure it out for yourself and not listen to me. But basically, here's what happened. The DA goes, do I think I can get a conviction on this? No, the case is weak. You waited a long time. You voluntarily took the pills. You said he didn't rape you. You said he put his fingers in you. Even after he did this, you slept over his house again multiple times. You went back to his house. You flew and visited him several times. He was helping you through your career. He even set up some sort of fund to help you go to college. He did all this for you. You took all this, but that ain't enough. You want to say he sexually did something that you didn't report, that wasn't serious when it happened, and yet now it's serious, and now you want $3 million. And you got $3 million, and that ain't enough. We want to put him in jail. So I think Cosby got railroaded. Even if he was guilty, I still think he got railroaded. So anyway, the DA looked at this case and went, you know what? I don't think 12 jurors are going to convict him. But as long as we're investigating this case, if this woman wants to civilly sue him and get money, Cosby is going to be able to say, I take the fifth because I have pending criminal charges. That's his right. So the DA, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, basically said, we're not prosecuting, we're not looking at you. We don't think we have enough case. Therefore, you don't have a reason to take the fifth because you're not facing any criminal liability. The only reason you can take the fifth is so government can't use your statements against you. If government says, we're not going to use your statements against you, basically giving you quasi-immunity, that's where it gets muddy in this. Basically giving you immunity, then you can't take the fifth. So when the DA publicly did this and told his attorney, but I think the DA made a private deal with the attorney saying, look, if I do this, you have to tell me that he's not going to take the fifth and he's going to be honest and give his depositions. And they agreed. Somehow they agreed, whether it was in writing or verbal. So Cosby, at the civil trial, cooperated with the depositions, spoke, gave testimony that he touched her, he kissed her. Yes, he gave her pills. It was to help her sleep. She was complaining she was tense. And I gave her some Benadryl. And she took it. I didn't force it. I didn't sneak it in her drink. She took it. So he testified to all that. Well, the DA that made this deal got out of office because he either got caught being crooked or he found a way to make more money or whatever. He left office and a new DA came in. And the new DA said, I don't care about his deal. She got statements that he made in the civil trial under the agreement that he wouldn't be prosecuted. And she used those statements in order to convict him in the trial. And basically, Cosby was tricked into giving statements that he wouldn't have normally given, and he had the right not to give, but he gave them under the promise that he wouldn't be prosecuted. And now a new DA came in and said, I don't care about the previous promise. I'm using them. And she convicted him, put his ass in prison for 2 years. And the Supreme Court goes, no, 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 no. You can't do that. He relied on a government promise. It doesn't matter whether another DA comes in. I mean, you can't allow decisions that are made with government authority to be personal and only attached to the person that made it. I mean, that's just not the way. It would be like the Supreme Court. Oh, well, that guy used to be a Supreme Court judge and he ruled on this, but he's not a judge anymore, so his ruling doesn't matter. So the law that was made by this legislator, and they're not in office anymore, so this law doesn't matter. That's just, government has to have this accountability or this credibility that government, when acting as a government entity, their word has to be held or be able to be taken with some sort of assurance that it's, the word's going to be kept, and you can't renege on it. Otherwise, you defeat the whole system of plea agreements or immunity or getting people to cooperate. Because if everybody knew that no matter what you did, they could always nobody would ever talk to the government. And government is so incompetent. I mean, they already only solve, I think, like 2% of all crimes. I mean, just think about that. Government, with all the money, and you see on the news about how great they are and how wonderful, government only solves, I'm pretty sure, I'll try to find the stat on that. I think they only solve like 2% of all crime. But anyway, look, Cosby got railroaded. He got tricked. He got promised by one DA, and another crooked DA came in and said, I don't care what the other DA said, I'm using it against him. And she should have been stopped by the judge. The problem was the sitting judge was a left-wing, I got to run on women and I got to protect women, and nobody wanted to say anything bad because there was a woman victim, and therefore truth and facts don't matter. Everything changes. And so the judge didn't want to do it. So he goes, I don't care, I'm going to let it in. And he shouldn't have. So he should be liable for Cosby's prison term, and so should the DA that did it. In my world, but, that's just me. So I think it's good that he left. He got a quasi-immunity. The problem was the DA technically never signed a letter saying, I'm giving you immunity. Instead, he said, we're not going to prosecute you. We're not going to use statements you give in a civil trial against you, so you have no reason to take the fifth. By saying that, he did say I gave immunity. It's just like I tell people, as a cop, I can give immunity. I'm part of the prosecution team. Most cops don't do it because they'll get shit. But if a cop tells somebody, hey, if you assist me and tell me you won't be charged, the person has a right to believe that. And then if they tell you something, that can't be used against them. And I tell one of my crazy cop stories where a girl was on the stand, she lied, and I told her if she went back and told the truth, she wouldn't be charged with perjury. And I told her that while I was booking her in jail. And then she went back and told the truth. And then when the DA found out I told her that, he was pissed and called me in and said, I'm the only one who gives immunity. Don't you ever give immunity to... And he was all pissed off. And I'm like, I wanted to get the truth out, and I didn't want this person, her testimony to go. It was like some gang case, and a gang had intimidated her. Her husband was intimidating her, and he was in a gang or something. And he forced her to do something. I can't remember how it was, but she lied on the stand. As soon as she got off, the DA goes, arrest her. She just lied on the stand. She gave a different statement than she did. So she either lied before, she lied now. You got probable cause to arrest her. Go book her. And I go, okay, that's probable cause enough for me. If the DA says there's probable cause, he's going to charge her. So I arrest her, and I was driving her to jail, and she was crying, and I was like, look, why don't you just go back and tell the truth? I can't, I'm scared. I said, well, then just say that you're scared. Say that's why you lied. I said, we need to get to the truth. You gave one statement, and the DA's position is she lied on her written statement earlier and gave us what we needed. So when she got on the stand and lied, it just made it look like it helped his case, he thought, better. And when I brought her back and said she wants to get on the stand and tell the truth, he said that hurt his case because now they didn't know what to believe, and now she held less credibility, and now they wouldn't believe it. Whereas if I didn't bring her back, they would have believed that she was lying because she gave one statement earlier, and then she changed it on the stand when she was in front of the guy. Whatever. I mean, I didn't give a shit about all that. I was just like, you know what? I think the girl's scared. I think she's telling the truth. I don't want to put her in jail. I mean, I think she was a mom. She had a kid. It was just bullshit. So anyway, she told the truth, and then they came back, and they were going to charge her. Man, the DA was fucking pissed. He called me in. Mr. Gore, I'm the only one that gives immunity. Are we clear? I said, I didn't give her immunity. I just told her she told the truth. She wouldn't be charged. Mr. Gore, I'm the only one that gives immunity. Are we clear? All right, whatever. So she didn't get charged because I told her as a government official that she wouldn't. So a lot of cops don't think they can do that, but you can. And I think cops ought to do that more. Because if you leave it to the DA, it becomes political. And then the DA only wants to give immunity when they can get something that they knew. And then they can get on the news and go, I broke the case by giving it, or I cut a deal, or I was able to get a plea agreement because of my greatness. DAs are just freaking politicians that want to get their name in there, and they don't really care about the truth or how many lives they're affecting or what they're doing. And cops are a little bit closer to the actual victim, so I think cops ought to do that more, but most cops don't have the balls to do it because they don't want to take the heat. Anyway, well, in that there, I think Cosby should have got out, and if you want to hate me on it, well, then whatever. I think government ought to be held accountable when they make promises. And that's what this Supreme Court did. All right, well, in that there.